So I was looking into trying to figure out how to identify small figures using an Arduino, and I was thinking of NFC chips and QR codes, and then I remember that the Arduino can read analog signals, meaning just voltages, and using a voltage divider you can vary the voltage in a circuit depending on the resistor you place. So I tested it out by putting resistors on the back. This one has no resistors, so it should just be sending 5 volts to the Arduino. And the Arduino was able to pick up the divided voltages. After being able to read the different voltages, I was able to make some cases for each color, and it was a working scanner at that point. It could determine if it was blue, black, or yellow. On the platform, I have 2 pads. 5 volts gets supplied here. When you put the character on, it'll close a loop. Depending if it has a resistor, then it will continue. The voltage will be divided here, and a line can be connected to the Arduino from here. And it continues with the 5100 ohm resistor here and out to ground using this line, the black line. And so when it gets sent from here to the Arduino is able to measure the voltage and determine what character is on depending on the voltage. I'm still using the same LED circuit as before, where you push down and it lights up. It's not detecting if something is being pushed. To implement this better, you could put foil tape around these points here, and then run it through here and then out, just so it's not just a foil tape like this. And you'd also have to make sure that there's no other foil tape. So this aluminum foil tape could carry current, so it would interfere with the circuit. And so all around I've removed it and made sure it was okay. With the characters themselves, maybe using smaller components other than just regular resistors might turn out better. When attaching the resistors, one thing I did on this character, for example, was I grabbed a soldering iron and I just melted these leads into the plastic, and it got a good attachment that way. Also, you could probably Dremel out the body and just fit it in. After everything's done, you put some Bondo or just any filler and paint it afterwards, and it's like it's not even there. Here is a demonstration of a voltage divider, also like a potentiometer, but basically if I put these leads here to measure the voltage, it will show up over here, and I put 5 volts coming in through here. Once I put one of these crewmates on those pads, it'll complete the circuit. And since there's another resistor here, then a divided voltage will be shown here. And here's the ground through there. So if I put no resistance, then it should give out 5 volts. Reading right there, 5 volts. And that's because 5 volts is running through only this resistor and down to ground. So there is a positive 5 volts in this line, since there's no other resistance. If I used 5,000 ohms, then the voltage drops by half to 2.5. This is actually 5,100 ohms. to match this resistor. And so the voltage is being divided 2.5 running through this resistor on the back, 2.5 volts running through that resistor, and 0 volts in the ground. And now finally, with 10,000 ohms of resistance, you can see calculated it's around 1.6 volts running through this divided voltage. And you can see it's almost 2 volts on the voltmeter. So potentiometers are voltage dividers, hooking up the left to positive, the right to negative. You get a divided voltage in this middle lead. And on the inside, there's graphite leads that connect the left lead to the right lead. And there's a middle wiper that is connected to the middle pin that will wipe across the graphite. Since there's resistance in the graphite, moving the wiper clockwise will increase the resistance on the left. Moving it counterclockwise will increase the resistance on the right. And depending on those resistance, you get a divided voltage in the middle. And so if the resistance is the same, so if the wiper is in the middle and both resistance are equal to each other on each side, you get half the voltage on the output. So on the Arduino, right here you have the analog pins. And with the analog pins, you can read voltages. And I hooked up the analog 4 to this circuit right here on the paper and just tested out different resistors. So after using the analog read function of the Arduino, I was able to find, using the serial monitor, that blue with 0 ohms, so just 5 volts, gave ranges that were greater than 950. Black with the 10k ohm resistor gave values around 294. And yellow with 5k ohms of resistance was giving me around 452. Okay, so I modified the code from the last video just a little bit. I added 2 variables. Right here is int divider 4. That is connected to the analog pin of the Arduino number 4. Int val is a variable used to read the analog signal through the circuit, and it's checking pin 4, see what voltage it is receiving. After that, it will go through some tests. So if the value is greater than 900, that being no resistance on the character, then 5 volts will be present, and so it will print out that the character is blue and beep and go through the same code as the last video. If it is less than 600 but is also greater than 350, then I've called it yellow, and so that means that the resistance on the character is 5,100 ohms. Again, it will go through the code for yellow. Finally, it does one last check, where if the value is greater than 200, but it is also less than 350, it is black, and so it goes through the code for black. The tolerances can be tighter or more loose, depending on how many cases are needed. So if you wanted to add cases, you just make the tolerances tighter. For example, this 900 for the blue, the max is around 1023 that the Arduino calculates for 5 volts. So you could put this up a little bit higher to around just 1000. and later add maybe red being 900 to 1000. You wouldn't want the tolerances to be exact just because values do jump around quite a bit. And if you want the tolerances to be tighter, you would want to add an average around here after calculating the value. And you'd want to use a for statement, and that being an int I set equal to 0. Then you place down for however many times you want to take the average of. So in checking the resistance, I'm using two variables. One variable being named pot pin 4, which means the analog pin of the Arduino for 4, and val to read the pot pin. So plugging in the Arduino and uploading the code. Alright, after it's done uploading, you go to Tools, then Serial Monitor, and it'll start giving you a bunch of random values. This is if you have nothing connected up to the analog pin. Now, if you connect a line using this code from analog 4 over to 5 volts, you'll see it'll start giving you a value of 1023, the maximum value that it can read for 5 volts. And if you take it off, it'll start giving you a bunch of random numbers again, just jumping back and forth. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you for watching.